Now, I want these to go in a sandwich, so I'd like them long, but if I wanted them done in some other way, and I probably should have put, I normally would have put the skin side or the top side in first. I just wasn't thinking about what I was doing when I did it, but I think it would have gotten a little prettier brown. I'll show you with the next one and do that there, over here. Billy, we were talking before we started cooking here about the South and why Louisiana has better restaurants historically, not today, than what's known as the South. And I don't want you to throw off on the South, Billy, when you get into this discussion. I want you still to remember that that's our primary love. But you can explain a little of your philosophy, which I think is very interesting. My philosophy, of course, is that it's the Depression really hurt us, and that most today, even still today, that most of the good cooking in the South is done in the home. But well, over to you.
That is certainly true, but I think the cultural difference is the greatest, and that the original settlers of Louisiana, the early inhabitants, were the French and then the Spanish, and then it became a really heterogeneous population, a melange of ethnics. And they, as a whole, developed, they had a very insatiable appetite for cuisine, whereas the Southerners are largely Scotch, Irish, English, and that culture is not really known for its haute cuisine. So the people in Louisiana grew up thinking food all day long. You know, at breakfast they were discussing what they were having for dinner.
That's true.
And then they decided we'll have soft-shell crabs, and they say, well, so-and-so restaurant cooks the best soft-shell crabs in town. Let's go there. And going out to a restaurant was an acceptable social event. And whereas over in Georgia and South Carolina and Florida, dining out in a restaurant was not a social event as it was in Louisiana.
Well, I find that I don't always think of Louisiana as the South. The South, I think of, as very hospitable, and Louisiana is part of it in that sense, too. But in my South, if you don't have someone in your home, and you first, and then you take them to a restaurant, I mean, you're not really close to someone until you have them in your home.
And, well, I agree with you there.
And I know I come to your home and you entertain and you have wonderful parties in your home, even though you have a restaurant. And in other cities, restaurateurs normally have most of their parties in their home as well. So there is this really hospitality thing going on in the South, too, where it's an accepted thing to have people in their home. And I think, look what I've done. I've gotten these together in the pan.
They probably knew each other in another life, Nathalie.
Just couldn't keep them apart.
Right.
They're both girls, though. They're friends. Billy, you want to cut me some more of those while
Sure. Incidentally, how do you know a crab is going to be soft? Well, when the crabbers go out and catch these crabs, they come back in their bateaus, and they have big...
In the what?
I use the word bateau. This is a French word, but is a coastal terminology for rowboat or fishing boat. And but right here in the main swim fin, inside the fin, and it's really hard to see, it turns a scarlet color. And this scarlet color tells the crabber where the crab's position in life is. Is it about to molt? And it's really under the skin. It's a little scarlet coloration, and they can tell. I've looked at them, and they can tell me that it's about to be a peeler, they call it, and I can't see it. So it takes a special eye to determine if a crab is about to get soft. And I'll go ahead and, because the crabs that you catch at the beach are, could be peelers, just, ready to come out of their hard shell.
And people do go to the beach and just catch crab, and we were talking about crabs. The blue crab is really a southern speciality. There is some place in Italy and some place in the Orient, I think, that also have blue crabs and soft-shell crabs, but this whole soft-shell crab is a real southern speciality, and we just go out and we have all sorts of nets and different pots that we catch our crabs in, and still today, very casually, you can just go out and do that.
You know, a cute story, Anne Cox Chambers was our ambassador to Belgium during the Card administration, and soft-shell crabs are one of her favorite foods. And there was a airline pilot from the national airline of Belgium, I forget exactly what the name is, but I said, if you, Sabina, I think, yeah. No, not...
Well, anyway.
But I said, will you take some soft-shell crabs back to our ambassador on your return flight home? And he said, yes, I will. Well, a day later, I got a phone call in a heavily accented French wanting to know what it was and how to cook it. And so I just said...
oh, you mean from her cook?
Yeah, from her chef in Belgium, her French chef. And I said, I didn't really know how to explain it. I said, just cook it meuniere like the fish. And he said, oh, okay. And I suppose that it turned out all right.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But he really had never even seen one before.
No, And I guess if you're an experienced chef and think you know everything and somebody sends you this horrible-looking little animal, that you would be taken aback.
Well, I think it's kind of pretty, Billy. I don't think it's horrible looking, but that may be because I grew up with them. I want to make this jalapeno tartar sauce for this here. And before we go, too, we have a big display of a cookbook that's coming up that Billy has contributed some recipes to. I think the recipes that you contributed were oyster recipes.
I did a variety of baked oysters, and to show the home cook how to clean oyster shells and save them, and how to just bleach them and put them through the dishwasher, and then they can keep them in a little box, and every time they want oysters Rockefeller, Bienville, or any of the oysters, they can go to the store and buy a little pint bottle of oysters and bring them home and plop them in these
and pretend
ready-made shells.
Yes, right,
indeed.
indeed. All right, Billy, I'll let you flour that and batter that and keep on this frying, if you will, while I sit here and do some of the other things. I just wanted to show you how to zest a lemon. You can use a grater, but I always ruin my nails when I do that, or my knuckles, one or the other. So I have fallen to using this. You just don't want any of the white because that's bitter, and that's for your batter. And for this tartar sauce, I have some capers here. Just thought I better chop those up. A lot of people don't get confused about capers, too. They think they're a fish, and they're really a seed that grows on a bush. Move those out of the way. And then here's this. And I'm going to cut my onion in half. I want to show you how to chop it. I haven't done much chopping of late. And cut it in half so you don't cry. I love the sounds of the kitchen.
You know, the sounds of frying is very comforting.
It is comforting.
And incidentally, I like this batter that you have. I can smell it. It has a nice nose to it.
You cook when you cook. It's so much more than just cooking with your eyes. You cook with your ears, and you cook with your nose, too. Peel your onion. I'm going to just cut this in half to make it a little easier to see so it's big. I cut it in half, and then I peel it. And then I go into the onion and follow these little dots, these little lines here that nature has drawn for me. I leave the root on to keep it intact, and I'm going to flip that around so you can see it. That's the root. And leave that on so it's intact, and then cut across. That just holds it together while you're cutting, but particularly if you have a big onion and you cut it into quarters like I have to do this, you need to be sure that root's there to hold it on. You can see it's already coming apart, and then down. And you want to get that as finely chopped as possible and as fine diced as possible. Over there, it's a lot finer.
That's a nice dice, man.
This is a nice dice, and if you want it even finer, you just take your... I can cook, Billy.
I'm impressed.
You just chop it a little bit more. Now, to make your... there are jalapeno peppers here somewhere, and to do that, I don't think I have time, but you put your gloves on, cut them in half, scrape off the skin, the seeds, and move right on. Now, I have some mayonnaise here. This can be store-bought or or you can make your own, which I think is wonderful. You make your own?
Yes and no.
Okay, I won't get into that then. Mayonnaise, onions. Sounds like a long story. You can tell it. Capers.
No, well, it depends on the urgency. Sometimes we make it when we have time. Otherwise, we'll take store-bought and add lemon juice.
Jalapeno peppers. I did that too, doctor up my store-bought a lot. I think that they've gotten the product to be so good these days that you can do it with
it is great.
little mustard there and Tabasco to taste. Boy, these McElhennys really are fabulous people. I stayed down there, and they really know a lot about food.
Absolutely.
Paul McElhenney's a fascinating fellow. Here's my tartar sauce. And then let's see, let's flip that, and I'm going to show them how to make this sandwich. In fact, I'm just going to give you one, Billy. Here's a nice baguette type of bread, a nice long, I wanted a long piece of bread. It's got poppy seeds on it. I prefer the kinds that don't have. This one's just a little, it's been sitting out, so it's just a little stale, but get a nice fresh one. And then put your soft shell crab in it and have a wonderful, I didn't do that upside down.
As we say in the French-speaking South, bon appetit, y'all.
Bon appetit, y'all. Thanks for being with me, Billy.
Thank you, Natalie.
Take care, Bubba. This is a very easy cobbler. In the South, when all of our produce is very beautiful and lush in the summer, it frequently is a time when you just don't want to fool with baking a pie crust late in the day. You might get up early and make one, but if you just want something fast at the end of the day because you want something sweet, this is what you would make rather than a lovely flaky pie crust. So, simple and easy. Serve 6 to 8 people, but I have seen 2 grown men finish one of these by themselves. You put a half a cup of butter in an 8 to 12 inch oven-proof serving dish and heat it up in a 350-degree oven until it melts, and then bring it out while it's still hot. I have it on a trivet there for you, and I still hope it's still hot. Then mix together a cup of all-purpose flour, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon salt, and a cup of milk and a cup of light brown or white sugar. Now, traditionally, this is done with white sugar, but I wanted a variation of it. I'm always looking for a variation of this. I've done it with raspberries, done it with raspberries and chocolate, and in this book, Southern Memories, I've done it with other fresh fruit and brown sugar. So you can vary it all you want to. It's pretty indestructible. So you whisk all of it, stir this all in together, and I better whisk that. Lots of times I do it with an electric mixer or a food processor, but it's really simple. But you have to get this batter good and smooth, and then pour it into your still hot butter. And when everything's perfect, the butter bubbles up around it. We'll just see if it works now. No, it's not quite hot enough. I had it sitting there too long. But anyway, yours will bubble up a little bit, and don't get alarmed. That's the way it's supposed to be. Then you go ahead and you spoon 2 cups of fruit and its juices, peaches or apples or strawberries or raspberries or blueberries, anything, or a mixture. Sometimes you just have pieces of fruit in the summer. You know how you just have a little leftover this and that? Just throw it all in. I've done grapes in it. I mean, any kind of combination. Throw it over the batter, put it in the oven, and bake it until the batter's brown. And it rises and puffs up around the fruit, about 30 minutes. And this is it when it's finished. And if you're using frozen fruit, you just cut back the amount of sugar to 3/4 a cup if it's frozen, and serve it warm or at room temperature. It does freeze. Take it to a covered dish supper. It's fabulous. Take it to a barbecue as your share. If you bake it in a smaller dish, it rises up a little bit more in the dish, and it's fine, too. I mean, you don't have to have anything exact for this recipe. The reason that I like that big dish, even though it's low down in it, is because I like to eat the outsides because they're so buttery and crisp. So it's really up to you. If you don't like all that buttery crispness, you can have it look a little better by sort of smaller pan. Now, Veronica's green and golden salad serves 6. And you just have to trim and cut off the stems of some asparagus. And if the asparagus is thick, you want to peel it with a potato peeler. And you just don't do what I did, do what I say. Blanch it in a frying pan of boiling water, or I have this fancy steamer here. I don't normally like one-use implements in the kitchen, but that's the way you put them in there. You cook them just 3 to 5 minutes until they're done. That's all. Then bring them out and cut them into threes and throw them into your bowl like I've done over there. Put them into ice water to stop the cooking. You know, you do that to keep the color for them. And then quickly peel some avocados and cut them into bite-sized pieces. And I want to talk to you in just a second about the avocados. And peel some oranges and free the segments from the membranes. I don't think you need to see me do all that. And then toss the avocados and the oranges with the vinaigrette, some asparagus. And I'm going to make that vinaigrette very quickly for you. Here I have stir some lemon juice in there as soon as you can, just to get the keep the avocado from turning. And then you make your vinaigrette. You whisk together some mustard and some red wine vinegar and some oil. And I use a ratio 3 to 1 usually, but you can vary it, particularly if you've got something like this orange juice that's going to go in here. So you add orange or lemon juice. And Dijon mustard was already in here when I got started. And some grated orange peel. And salt and pepper to taste. And if it tastes too oily, don't add more orange juice or vinegar until you're sure that it's not just the oil, and just add some salt to take up the slack. Pour it in there, toss all of it. It's absolutely beautiful. To tell, avocados can be ripened at room temperature. Just want to tell you this very quickly. When you buy an avocado, if you want to tell if it's ripe or not, you can stick a little toothpick into the end, and if it's soft, that tells you. You don't have to go in and maul it to know whether it's done. It will ripen at room temperature, or it will ripen in a bag. And avocado is an Aztec word, and it means butter from the wood. This is a baked fish Dafuski. Dafuski is a fabulous island right next to Hilton Head, and they were both islands once that had an enormous number of freed slaves on them. And the Dafuskiites speak a special Gullah dialect. Now, this grouper recipe came from someone who has a restaurant in Hilton Head now, the Island Yacht Club. So grouper is technically not what you would use in Dafuski. Probably you would use a flounder or another fish that was really caught right there. Slice up some onions, pat your grouper fillets dry, place them on a greased baking sheet, and cover them with sliced onions, and mix together some mayonnaise and some Dijon mustard. That's store-bought mayonnaise, Dijon mustard, lemon juice. I just wanted to give you an alternate to the soft-shelled crabs. That's why we're doing this, because I thought some of you might be afraid to do that, and this comes from the dishes with fishes section of my book. Cover the fish fillets with the onions, and then just pour this lovely mixture, and you might use a whisk and get it just a little smoother like we did earlier. Pour that over it. Measure the fish according to its thickness. You want to bake the fish 10 minutes to the inch of thickness at 400 degrees, and then take it out of the oven and run it under the broiler for just a couple of minutes to give it this nice, beautiful brown. And then sprinkle it with a little paprika and serve. And that's it. It's really lovely. I've mentioned a couple of books today, both the Dafuski book that's right there and the book with Billy's writings in it. But all the recipes do come from my book, Southern Memories.
This menu gives you plenty of choices. Lemon-fried soft-shell crab with jalapeno tartar sauce as a sandwich, or equally as good on a plate. Or baked fish Dafuski if the soft shells are hard to find. To accompany either, Veronica's green and golden salad, an easy cobbler for dessert. All the recipes in this program and in the entire series are available in Nathalie Dupree's Southern Memories, published by Clarkson Potter. This book contains a collection of over 200 recipes, complete with color photographs and step-by-step instructions. Order your copy now by calling toll-free 1-800-582-1800. The price is $30 plus handling. Please have your credit card ready when you call. That's 1-800-582-1800 for Nathalie Dupree's Southern Memories.
Nathalie Dupree Cooks is brought to you in part by the Merchant Bank of Atlanta, proud sponsor of public broadcasting. The Merchant Bank and its employees carry on a tradition of community involvement. The Merchant Bank of Atlanta, member FDIC.